In this video, I got to make a new tube that goes from the firewall from in here, kind of rework this tube and join it up with the throttle body here. All right, here's what we're doing. Obviously, this is the old hole where the tubing came out from inside the car. This is a new engine from what the engine that was in it. This is a more awesomer, gooder piece. Has a different intake manifold that's a little taller. So that raised the stuff up here with the elbow. This is a 4500 opening versus the 4150 that the old engine had. So everything was bigger. It makes this, back up, this makes this arch path here bigger because it's a bigger hole down here that raises this stuff up. It still has, a turn down on it at the face here, but because of the height, it's not awesome here. You can see the height of the cowl here, and this here. I'm going to start off by getting rid of this, taking the rivets off of this and take this plate off. Ideally, if I don't have to cut into the top of the cowl here, would be really cool because there's a nice piece of carbon that lays on top and covers this stuff up. But I just don't know if that's possible. But I'm going to get this plate off and start mocking up. I got some paper templates to start looking at to kind of look things over. There's a V-band here that'll probably go away, and I'm gonna start by removing that plate and go down there at that V-band and remove this chunk of tube right here, and then build from here down. And then after getting inside the car, whatever needs joined up would be a piece of cake. So I'm going to start. I'll cut that plate off. This needs to go onto the throttle body. This reduces it from the throttle body opening. This is a AccuFab piece, reduces it down to 4" right here at the face. It's a nice little piece. This is it's like a Wiggins style setup. It has the sealing band that goes around the seals on there, and then this goes around the throttle body and this piece. These are my this is a, back that up. This is a template that I make for the 4" tubing. It's the exact replica of the centerline radius, and see those lines on there? I can cut right across them lines and duplicate that and find the exact spot on the tube where it meets up to what I want to butt it up to, and then it'll be cut across there wherever it's at, the perfect spot, and then I can transfer that template onto a piece of 4" tubing, cut it, and then it's exactly where I want it to be. I don't like just chopping on tubing and start guessing on stuff. This is real easy to do, to make a template, to eyeball this stuff, and if you can see it and make this fit, then when you cut the tube, it's going to fit. As expensive as the tubing is nowadays, that paper, it's literally nothing compared to, you start tearing up some tubing, and that sucks. So I'm going to start cutting this stuff up, cutting that off, and get that tube out, and I'll get the camera set up here in a way that kind of shows what I'm doing. Well, to get this started, I've seen that I had to pretty much take the elbow and throttle body off of the intake manifold. Before I took it off, I took a little straight edge like this, a little pointer, and I ran it down like this and marked the top of the cowl where this meets, to kind of see where I should cut out on the top of the cowl. We just need this rounded part of the tube to pass by the cowl. Didn't know until I did this. Let me go there and show you this real quick. I don't think I'll have to flip this around. I'll show you in a little bit. But what this showed me was The top piece of the cowl, I think, is just barely going to be okay. And this tubing can go right underneath the factory cowl piece that's there. I'll need to trim it clear up to the top of it, but I think it'll pass. But to make things easier to work with, I went ahead and took the whole deal off, the whole elbow and throttle body. And what I want to show you here is this. I've got a video a few months back on these clamp alignment tools. Vibrant makes this. This is a AccuFab throttle body, and it's an AccuFab seal, dual seal setup. This is the seal ring. This is the clamp. This Vibrant piece, I would take this off, but it doesn't fit perfect, and I've got this on there, and I want to leave it for now. Next time I have it off, I'll show you what this thing looks like. But it's got two channels in this clamp, and each half of the sealing area sits in a trough. So there's a trough on the throttle body side, there's a trough on this side. This thing, you put it in there and you snug it up, and I'm gonna take my camera off of here. Dang, this is gonna stink too. I can't flip this around. Rah. But what it does is it maintains a gap, because this thing's designed, these dual seal clamps and seals are designed for some movement. And there's a piece in between, in the middle here on the inside, and when I show it to you, you'll see it, that maintains a gap. When you're building your tubing to this stuff, you don't want the ferrule slammed up against, because then all your movement is taken up. You want a little bit of play. So I'll show you the inside of this. Okay, looks good here. See that gap between the black of the throttle body? Let me point to that right there. Let me get the little pointer here. The end of this aluminum, then you see the gap, then you can see the black edge of the throttle body opening. So this clamp that's on here maintains that gap all the way around. And I measured it. Well, it's pushed all the way in. This thing has a little movement. It comes out. I didn't measure what that gap is. I guess I could, just for information, but we don't need that much room. It is, measure this thing here. So it's about 150 gap of movement, but when I build this, I'm gonna go all the way in, and that's 100. What you're seeing right there is 100 thousandths gap, and that's real good for some wiggle room and some movement on these pieces. That's what it's designed for. So I'll have that pushed all the way in. The way it looks, I thought maybe, I wasn't sure if I'd have to cut this back a little bit and do a different flared piece from the tube and come into it because of the height of the cowl. But I think from just what I seen a little bit ago, this will pass right underneath. I'm gonna cut this firewall chunk by mark. The mark that I transferred comes right across there. This piece right here, there's a little Zeus. There's a carbon panel that lays on top. A small little Zeus clips here and holds it down there. It's got some others around it. But if we can leave this, that'd be awesome. But I know I'll cut over here. I'm gonna cut them around, skim right up across the top, right behind the edge of that, where that Zeus is, and back down. That should be enough path for that tube to come through there. We're gonna find out in a little bit. Put my ears on. I'm back at the car. I got the elbow bolted back down and the throttle body bolted to it, and the this piece, it's tight and it's up against there where I want it. So I made my template. Before I started videoing here, I got an idea of how I want this to go. Get my camera to stop shaking. It's I bumped it. So I'm gonna go, this is gonna go, the huge goal here was to not have to cut into this very much. I did take a little bite out of it here, but it needs to stay underneath the cowl just to make less work out of the project. And so this is obviously this is a piece of tubing. It's just a piece of cardboard, but pretend it's a piece of tubing. And I'm going to weld it. When I cut it, I'm going to weld it to the face of this adapter. So it's welded to the adapter. Pay no mind to this. This isn't there. But I've got this is a straight piece that I butted up against the line where I want it to curve down, get underneath the cowl, and then go straight, and it needs to go inside the body a little bit. And then from being inside the body, oh, sorry about that, it's gonna come inside here in this area, and then it's gonna reach down here. It's gonna join up to that tube there. There's a V-band flange right there. So this piece started out as this piece. Now I'm gonna transfer this to my piece of tube, and I gotta tell on myself here, because the OD of this, even though it's made for 4-inch, the OD is bigger than 4-inch, and which is kind of okay in this situation because we need this to duck real hard underneath the firewall. So this is, we'll say this is a mitered piece. It doesn't follow the bend of the tube like these lines do. See the lines here run like this? That's why you make these, because when you cut this, the tube stays square. But the tubing is smaller than the OD. I don't know why they machined that as big as they did. That should be a 4-inch OD, and it's not. I'll measure it after a while. But to make this butt up and make a good weld, I cut it across the center of the tube, which makes it, this piece here will be more than 4 inches because it's cut across it, not with it like this. It's cut across it. It makes that opening bigger, which is what I need because this opening is bigger. And in this situation, that's going to be pretty ideal. So I'm going to transfer this bent piece to my piece of tubing. I'm going to cut that. That'll give me this. And then I'm going to transfer the lines where these dots are onto the tube. And all I'm going to end up with is a sliver of this chunk here to start with. And then the next thing I'll want is just a straight piece that's going to weld to that. So I'm going to go back to the bench and lay that out to get this marked and cut. Got this set up on the bandsaw. Going to make the first cut here and then spin it around and chop across there. See how this goes. Through. Almost. Really wish I had a light. I need a light. Can't see. Get a little shine on the back side so I can see. Okay. There we go, that's better. think I missed my entry mark just a tiny bit, but I'll fudge it over before I get too far here. It'll be okay. Almost done. Ta-da. Here's the piece I just cut. It's all cleaned up, and I've already set it up here against the throttle body adapter. I know it looks good. I'm just going to show this real quick. This is going to turn out just right. And this is the bigger end. See how it's cut across? It would have been, you know, cut like this, but it's a deeper cut across the tube. But that's what it needed to be to fit this hole of this throttle body adapter a little bit better. So that's going to sit. This will look better when it's on the bench and I can get a better eye on it. But the big goal with this is right here, to get this underneath the stock part of the top of the cowl here and get underneath there so we didn't have to do any rework of this. So this worked out. This is gonna be great. And there'll be another chunk. That's kind of what this piece was, you know, throttle body, car side, and a straight piece will go inside a little bit and keep on building from there to the other tube down inside. So I'm gonna take this to the bench and get ready to weld it to this. Get this piece welded. It fit like I wanted it to. I'm gonna start and stop on the bottom. That way it hides the start stop. It's just kind of my way of doing stuff. Then by the time you get rolling a few inches, you got a rhythm, you got the rod going good, everything looks good. By the time you get to the visual part, that's gonna be on the top, where everybody's top. You're pretty dialed in on your speed, and it's just kind of a guess right here, like, shoot, I done went past halfway, but you just do little test drops, not drops, but just kind of dry run it here and kind of feel it out. It's like, yeah, that seems like the right speed. Sometimes you nail it, sometimes it's a little fast, a little slow. Either way, if you're too fast or too slow, both scenarios kind of suck. But if you had like 10 parts, it'd be pretty easy to dial it in. But I'm going to start and stop here on the bottom. This being the bottom here, and then it comes around, and the top side is going to be up here that you can see. So by the time I'm on the top side, I want this to look really good. Because everything on Rodney's car looks really good. So the welds I put on here keep it look good as well. So if I do any talking underneath the helmet, like this, I got the mic clear up under my neck. trying to block out some noise of the water cooler that's over to my left. I've got some blankets over top of it. It seems to help block the noise a little bit. So here we go. Just enough rod. Let's check this out. There's how much rod I have left over going around that. This piece welded, just welded that on the turntable. Got all this stuff bolted back together, put the little cool little gap clamp locked in there. Next, I'll cut about a 3 1/4 inch long piece just to get these V-band ferrules behind the firewall here, and there'll be a clamp on that. So I'm gonna join that section between there about a 3 1/4 inch piece I measured, and then the leftover space from the clamp to there we'll fill in with a tube and weld that together. So I'm gonna go cut a piece and head back to the turntable in just a little bit to weld the 1/2 of the ferrule to the 3 1/4 inch tube and weld it onto that. I got this 3 1/4 inch tube cut, and gotta wiggle it down in there. That's easier to do with 2 hands. There we go. So I need to watch my camera. So that's gonna I test fit it and everything looks good. It'll butt up right there to that throttle body piece. It'll butt up there. It needs a little bit of tapping to open it up, and I'll show you that here in just a little bit, because in the bend it'll be a little small. But I'll tack and weld that, and this joint here, I'll go ahead and weld it on. Then the other chunk that's left will be from this half of the V-bend down to that open tube right there, and that'll be the last little chunk to work on. So I'm gonna take this to the bench, if I can get it out of here. Take this, I'm gonna need to take that piece off and tack it over here to this. Gotta do a little tapping on it, but I'll show you that here in just a little bit. Got this piece off the car, off the throttle body. This piece is cleaned up. These are both cleaned up. They're ready to weld, but I had to do some tapping around the edges from like here around to here, and open it up just a little bit. When this tubing gets bent, it kind of smushes the tube a little bit, and I'll show you on the thickness here, just in case you didn't know. In the bend here, it stretches up here on the outside of the bend, and it gets kind of, whatever kind of magic happens in here, you get thicker material here, and it gets thinner on the outside. And this is what we're looking at here. This is the inside of the bend where the material's thicker, and this is the thinnest part of the tubing is out here on the outside of the bend where it pulls it around. And so this tubing, this should measure about, I need to pay attention where my camera's at. This should measure about 60, 059, 067, 065. It's in that 063 to 067 range, let's say. So this is a piece off of that same tube. I'll have to just turn this around and show you. But on the outside here where it's thinner, it said 038, but it bumped to 039 when I took it off. So it's considerably thinner on the outside there. This said 037, 038. It's a little thicker there. It's still 037. But on the inside here, on the inside of this, if I turn around, I won't be able to see. On the inside there, I'll just do this. It's, let's see what it says. I gotta hold still. It's 077. It bumped to 079 before I took it off, but it's thicker in here, thinner out here. If you've ever welded this, you'll kind of notice that when you're welding it. The thicker, probably welds pretty good on the thicker stuff here. It gets a little weird on the thin stuff. It gets hot real quick. The puddle gets real hot and fat. But I had to tap this out with a hammer on the bench here. Just tapped it with a hammer just to kind of flare it out a little bit so it meets the OD of this. Some people would maybe not do this and maybe don't care, but I want my tube joints to fit pretty good. We got some cool expanders at work that do a really good job of opening stuff up like that, but if you don't have that, you just tap the edge, put a good surface underneath, and just tap the edge of the tube a little bit. It doesn't take much to open this stuff up because it's really thin out here. It's a lot stronger in here, and it's also got a weld right beside it. So this is really strong. You have to really hit this pretty hard to move that out. But that's enough babbling about this. This is a pretty good fit. I'm gonna go back to the bench, set the camera up. Gonna tack this tube to the joint here, and also gonna tack this V-band half on here, and I'll use this V-band half on the turntable, and it'll rotate this joint, and then I'll stand it up and weld that joint. So let's go do that. I got the 2 joints welded. That one is hiding. There it is. Just welded that joint on the turntable and this joint on the turntable. The stuff was really grainy. I was not happy with how it welded. So right here, might be, get the camera here. I put the other half of the aluminum V-band. It's there with the clamp. So I got to go from here into that hole right there. Kind of a weird spot. And there's not a good way to see this at all. A short space to work with, but I got my cardboard templates in there, and I'll cut some templates and get them eyeballed. There you can kind of see. You zoom in there, you can see the outlet or the throttle body in, and this is the car side coming in. So that's the next piece. That'll be the last piece. I get that piece put in, then all the tubing is hooked back up. So, so I need to stop saying so. I say so too much. So here we are. I use my little templates and my scissors and my little tubes and chunks, and I got little pieces put together here of how this is going to be. So up at the flange, see the edge, there's no weld. That needs welded to that flange. This joint needs welded, this joint needs welded, and then this tube floats inside this flange, which is kind of nice. It floats in there. There's a lot of room for some misalignment. It doesn't need to be bottomed out inside there. It's a pretty cool design. It'll let you tip it, move it, it's a really good aid in getting these tubes lined up. So that'll probably be the last joint that I weld down here, so that I can continue to fudge around a little bit as this stuff shrinks and moves and pulls. I will probably I'll probably go up there to that flange up at the top and go ahead and weld it, and then just work my way down and mark each piece as I go and work my way down to this last one. Maybe I might mark those two and weld them at the same time, and then just come back and leave this one for last. But I might even do all 3 of these. I don't know. I'm gonna play with it a little bit, see if I'm real cozy and confident in how they fit. I may just knock out all 3 of these at once and then come back and do this one last. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think about it for a minute. I'm gonna play with them, and if I like it, then I'll just mark it and probably weld all 3 of those. So let's go. Anyway, this thing's welded up. It's got to cool off, and then it can test fit some more. Well, the last little chunk of video I just showed welding that one joint. You can see those 2 down there, one there and one there. That stuff didn't weld good, so I didn't video the second one, but you get the idea. What I got left now is this is the tube that has the 2 joints on it there. It's stuffed inside the V-band here, and it's stuffed inside the bottom V-band down there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna tack this across here about 4 places, so it holds it real good. Take it apart here, unbolt this, because I need this to stay right where it's at, and it should. And I'll pull that out of the way, take that V-band that's tacked to that tube, to the weld bench, to the turntable, weld it. When it cools off, I'll put it back in here. It's gonna float inside that bottom V-band. It may shrink 15, 20 thousandths, probably not 30, but here's the last weld we'll make right here. After welding that one up there, this is inside that tube. It'll let it float in there. It may shrink up just a little bit, and if it does, that's just fine, because there's some tube inside that flange. And after that top one's welded, I'll come in here and tack this, and that'll be the last piece to weld, and I'll go back to the turntable and weld it. This is terrible. Keep bumping it. If it sounds like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because with my readers on, I can only see a certain distance, and I can't see this very good because the distance is wrong, so I'm blaming it on that. This is a little closer, so it's better. Anyway, you see it. I'm going to pull that apart, take it to the back, and weld that up. Here we go. I like it. I think that was, so that's set about 10 and a half. I think 11 and a half would have probably been cool. It seemed a little bright for my old eyes, but for a $30 helmet, dude, it's pretty good. I like it. It needs a little tweaking on the darkness. It's got a thing that's sitting here blinking right now. That's an adjustment that I just haven't messed with. This is the first time I ever welded with this, so I think it'll be a great piece for my son. Yeah, so let this cool off and stick it back in the car and get this top piece tacked to the last flange and weld it on. So, but as far as the helmet goes, it's cool. I give it a thumbs up. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's a good piece for 30 bucks. After welding that flange on the turntable, I think there was a little chunk of time that I failed to do video. But so the turntable video was this flange here. This is all hooked together. It all turned out like I wanted it to. And a little chunk that I missed, which is not a huge deal, probably wasn't worth videoing, but the old plate that's on my bench, I'll show you, was here. We got to make a new plate. And I just got done making a template, and this is going to go around there, and I got to transfer this to a piece of aluminum. But this one's going to be split right here, so it can be a left side and a right side, you know, little bolt or something in that existing hole and there. So I'm transferring this to this piece of aluminum. This is the old piece. I don't need it no more. And it has this lip. I'm gonna hook this phone up here on the holder. This was the old plate. We're not gonna use no more. And this is like the Firewall rib. It's on the car like this. Point to it. This is the Firewall rib. So I had to take a piece of aluminum and duplicate this. That's a good piece of aluminum. That's my good piece. I already made a piece, and just to see if I could duplicate that, see if I can hold it right. And it started, if you look at it like this, let me put my finger on it. If you look at it kind of like that, it's just like a 90-degree bend, like this. And I did this right here on my bench with this angle across here, clamped here, and then smacked it over 90 with this. Works really good. So I tested to see if I could make it with this piece. So this duplicates. So I did it. So I'm going to make another one that's a real part. It's like this. It's real similar, and it'll be just fine. And I'm getting ready to. I've got the 90. This is too long, but I've got it marked inside here. I'm going to run this through the bandsaw, and that'll be the bottom length. I'm going to reclamp this on my bench press brake and clamp it up against this Sharpie line, and then bend this up. God, I lost my piece. Bend it up, and it'll duplicate this little up part here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Two 4/6 block just for weight. Works great. I love it. I'm going to put this here. I bend a lot of metal doing it like this. It works really good. It's a little crude and hillbilly, but it works. So what they say, if it works, it's not wrong. Let me make sure this is good and really tight. Redo this one. I have no idea if this is even a good video. Good enough, I guess. Okay, that's clamped. I don't remember how far I bent that. I just can use this as a guide, I guess. Because this line here is the same line that's underneath there. And all I did was took this is just a piece of like, looks like a 120 thick, 10 gauge-ish piece of steel flat plate, and I stuck it underneath here and pulled up. And it worked pretty good. Hopefully I can do it again. See if I can move that. I can kind of judge if I can get it in there far enough to see. That's pretty close. It's close enough. I think I can pull it out and check it out. Maybe a touch too much. And that's easy to fix, I think. But let's get a little closer here and look. I warned Rodney, I said, this is probably going to be an extremely long video, and hopefully, if it's long, I hope it don't suck. So, see, that's pretty close. I think I can live with that. And then this, I've already got this marked on the bottom side to run it through the bandsaw, which I'm going to do here, like, real quick, if this turned out like I think it did. So note to yourself, if you got to bend some sheet metal and you got a nice flat bench and some good clamping stuff and a piece of angle iron, you can do a lot of bending on the front edge of your table or your bench. This is aluminum top. It's got a 1.5 inch square tubing frame. Works really good. Pretty basic stuff going on around here. Let's check this out. This might be okay enough to make just a separate. Let's see what's the best way to look at this. Maybe like, hey, just lay it on top, maybe. Yeah. It's close enough. That's just the back side of this is just the rib of the firewall that kind of sticks out, and then the hole got opened up after that. So it's not a super crucial deal. It's just going over that lip and covering up the bottom of the opening on top of the last firewall rib, or at least the last one that's visible. I think this is good. I'm gonna go run this through the bandsaw. Get it down to, I need to pay attention here. Get it down to length. See how close that came out? It's kind of hard to see. It looks better with my eyes than it does on the camera. But, so I'm gonna go to the bandsaw. I'm gonna cut it across here. And then come back here to the bench and get the location of this. I gotta get these locations to jive, match up this spot where these holes go. And then I can transfer this pattern to this plate. This will be gone, but this will be cut in the middle. This will all be cut out after I cut it in the middle. It'll be 4 holes, and man, it'll be close. So I'm gonna shut this off and we'll cut this and come back here in just a little bit.